Mama said, don't give up. It's a little complicated. All tied up, no more love. And I'd hate to see you waiting. Had to have high hopes for a living. Shooting for the stars, but I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision. Always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for a living. Didn't know how, but I always had a feeling. I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had high hopes. Mama said, something for oddities, stranger possessed. Ain't ever wannabes, waiting the novelties that don't ever change. We wanted everything, wanted everything. Stay up on that rise, stay up on that rise, never come down. Oh, stay up on that rise, stay up on that rise, never come down. Mama said, don't give up. It's a little complicated, all tied up, no more love. And I'd hate to see you waiting. They say it's all been done, but they haven't seen the best of me. So I got one more run, and it's gonna be a sight to see. Had to have high hopes for a living. Shooting for the stars when I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision. Always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for a living. Didn't know how, but I always had a feeling. I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had high hopes. Shooting for the stars when I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision. Always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for a living. Didn't know how, but I always had a feeling. I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had
Live from your home, it's virtual family camp with Starburst, with Moonbeam, with Jerry Dazzlefingers, and musical guest Lauren Scott, your camp speaker, Jill Rainwater.
Hi, I'm Jerry Dazzlefinger, 6-time Olympic gold medalist and host of the 3-time Academy Award-winning aerobic dance series, Jazzercise Me, Jerry. And I've got one question for all of you. Are you ready to sweat? That's right. Welcome to Young Life's first ever VFC, where we're going to bring a slice of the world to your doorstep. We've put together this little variety show where you're going to laugh, you're going to cry, and we're going to jazzercise. But first, a message from our sponsors. Me, Jerry Dazzlefingers, that's right. And as the official sponsor of Young Life's first ever VFC, I believe that each one of you are a champion. And all it takes are 3 simple ingredients. Number 1, danger. Number 2, dynamite. And number 3, dazzle. And you know who I learned that from? The ringmasters of Circus Solar. You know, the ones at Space Circus out in Spokane, Washington. Aren't they great? And I've got a special surprise just for you, because they are here today.
I'm Moonbeam, the majestical, the mystical, the irresistible Silk Savant.
And I'm Starburst, the aura of light, here to fill you with visual delight.
We are here to train in the mental and the physical, right?
Right, but first, the mental.
The brain. It's powerful. Time to center. You are taller than most miniature horses that I have seen at the farm
Mm-hmm. And you
Yes.
are stretchier than a slinky.
The stretchiest. You can leap over many small rocks.
Yes, I can. And you are cuter than a button. And together,
We are radiant.
Now that we've trained you in the mind, we're gonna train you in the physical body strength. First, we focus on our listening. So what we're gonna do is you need a shoe, you're gonna put it in the middle, and you're gonna get a partner. So within your family, whoever's at the house, partner up. You can have a group of 3 if you need to. And what's gonna happen is I'm gonna call out a bunch of different body parts. So when I say it, like head, you touch your head with both hands. You keep doing that for all the body parts until I say shoe. When you hear shoe, be the first to grab it. After each time we play, we're gonna switch partners if we can, and you're gonna keep track. We're gonna do it 5 times. The one with the best record in the 5 times, like let's say you win all 5, you are the shoe champion of your house. Are you ready? Okay, low posture. Here we go. Head, ears, elbows, shoot! Ooh, that's 1. All right, now, make sure you got a new partner if you can. If not, if it's 2 of you, best out of 5 still, so it doesn't matter. Are you guys ready? Here we go, round 2. All right, your elbows, ears, eyes, shoulders, shins, shoe. Ooh, all right. Find yourself a new partner. Get a new partner, get a new partner. Make it happen. All right, put the shoe back in the middle. Here we go, we're going for number 3 here. Kids are allowed to play, so it's okay. All right, here we go. Toes, shoulders, head, nose, hips, knees, shoe. All right. There we go. It's getting spicy over here. How's it going over there? All right. I think right now we're getting down to the nitty gritty.
This is where the boy becomes a man.
I think we're ready. All right.
Whatever.
Nice low posture. Are we ready? Neck, ear, partner's head, knees, elbows, shoes.
That's a plural. There's a plural. That's mine.
All right.
That's my shoe.
All right. This is the final round.
Bring it
ladies
back.
and gents. Final
Bring it
round,
back,
final
big boy.
round. I hope you're not throwing your shoes at home like it's happening live here in the audience. All right, for this final round,
Put it down.
we are actually gonna throw to one of you at home. We're about to take a live look into your family room. Are you ready? Here it goes. Shoulders, elbows, knees, hips, foot, elbows, eyes, nose, shoe. Did you get it? Oh, look at that. There we go. Well done, everyone. All right, that's it for our training for today. But don't worry, we got more for you.
That's right.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
And you can't fight the tears that ain't coming, or the moment of truth in your lies. You're the closest to heaven that I'll ever be, and I don't wanna go home right now. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand when everything's meant to be broken. I just want you to know who I am. I just want you to know who I am. I just want you to know who I am.
So we have with us today Lucho Jonko. Thank you so much, my friend, for joining us and being a part of real life and answering these questions. But we'd love to kick it off with you telling us a little bit about your family.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Leonard. Thank you for letting me be here. Uh, well, first, I'm original from Chile, South America. Uh, my wife, I've been married with my wife for 23 years. My wife name is Mel Janka, and she's from Venezuela. But we met in Venezuela in college. In all this journey, we got 3 kids. Hannah is 17. She's the only one that is being born in Venezuela. She came here when she was 2 years old. And then we have Lucho Jr. or Luchito. He's 11. He's been born here in Houston. And then we have Mariellen, that she's 6 years old, and she's been born in Texas, Harlingen, Texas. So I came here to Houston in 2005 to be a Spanish pastor at a church. And then I did it for almost 3 years. And then I got the chance to meet a guy that he was involved with Young Life, and that's how I connect with Young Life. And then I left the pastoral job and I became Young Life leader. We've been married for 23 years, and what I love more about our relationship is that she's my best friend. Doesn't matter what kind of version of Lucho is outside. I can be goofy Lucho. Actually, I'm a number 7 in the Enneagram. So I try to be a lot of, I try to be a lot in the goofy stage,
Yep.
But doesn't matter if I'm goofy or I'm mad or I'm sad or whatever version of Lucho is outside. I'm super, super thankful they have the freedom to be whatever version is outside with my wife, because she's my best friend. I marry my best friend. Okay. And that's something that's super awesome. I'm super blessed to have my 3 kids. They're total different. Hannah is so focusing be the best student, and also she loves to do sports. Lucho Jr. is all about video games. And she's gonna be a YouTuber. I'm guessing that's a new generation, right?
That's a new generation, right?
And Marielle, my little one, she's like my wife, so she has so much energy. She wanna do too many things at the same time. That I have to ask God every day for extra energy, for me to be the best dad for her and for the others too. We're not perfect, but we try every day to be better, which is scribe. We laugh a lot, and because we're Latinos, we are loud a lot, and that's the way that we are. Yeah, that's the Janka family.
I'm Kevin, and I am a software salesman for a large software company based out of California, but live here in Lincoln with my family.
I'm Chastity, and we have these 4 boys, and I currently homeschool, and actually did homeschool before the pandemic. So I chose to homeschool. I had a really awesome mom who was really supportive, and she actually raised us on her own, and I'm one of 6, and so looking back, I feel like I helped her a lot with my siblings, so that was definitely God preparing me to be a young mom.
And my dad said, he said, hey, he introduced us and at my sister's wedding, and when he was taking me back to the airport, because I lived in California and the wedding was in Texas, I asked him, so who is the cute girl you introduced me to? And he just laughed and he said, yeah, I thought you might be interested. And he said, she's got an 8-year-old little girl, but she's awesome and you need to get to know her. I said, well, that's great, but I live in California and she lives in Nebraska, so.
Oh, wow.
And then we dated long distance for 2 years, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What are you guys' names?
I'm Slater. I'm Beckham. I'm Gray. I'm Jet.
Awesome. Good to meet you guys. So what was it like for you guys to have twins? Was that totally unexpected?
It was, because we don't have twins in either side of our family. So that was a surprise, and I would say the first year I would describe as exhausting. You know, I was working full time, and I was in grad school full time as well. Chas had been in ministry and working as well, and then she goes to be a stay-at-home mom, and we're up all night every night and up all day every day. But after the first year, it's been awesome.
So tell us about your family.
Leonard, thank you for asking. In my family, I have 3 dependents. They're 13, 12, and 4, and they all have 4 legs and a lot of fur. So I have 3 golden doodles.
I love that. The dependents. I like that. So Mason. So what are their names? Let me not.
Mason, Milo, and Moose.
Okay.
So Mason's 13, Milo's 12, and Moose is 4. And I usually refer to them as the Wuggles or the Snuggle Bears.
Tell us about what you do in Young Life, because I think it's unique and special.
My job in the Eastern Great Lakes region is half speaking. So I travel and speak and do program about 6 months out of the year. Then the other half of my job is a little bit of a mix with Capernaum, and then which is our ministry to kids with diverse or unique abilities. And I also am doing some more in our region around initiatives with prayer and women. So I have a very what's the word, like,
diverse set of roles.
Thank you. I was gonna say random. I have a lot of random jobs. I love jobs.
So talk specifically just a little bit about how you were impacted and some things that you were accustomed to doing, especially like being at camp, like you used to being on stage and speaking in a certain way, right?
Yeah.
And being at camp, on assignments, in community, with kids in a certain way. How did your injury, how did it impact all that?
Yeah, so I have a lot of energy. I love Young Life, and I love my job, and I love Jesus and talking about Jesus. I had limited energy, limited focus. It felt like things were foggy. It just felt like everything was challenging, and if you knew me well, I just felt like a lot of people have said I looked disconnected. It just was, and that's the thing about an invisible injury too, is I could do that stuff. I just did it with an extra cost, right? So but they would say the depressive side of head injuries is very real. And so the neurologist that I have met with, he's like, I really want you to do as much of your normal life as you can. From this time last year to I actually was just with friends last night, and they said they're it's amazing to see what the change or difference has been. But it was really invisible. The way I always say to people, what I've learned is that invisible injuries, and whether that's head related or even mental illness, any of those things, grief could be part of this, all those things that you can't see, things that have manifested themselves invisibly, are massive undertakings for people to live through. And that's really where I feel more than anything, I have so much more empathy and compassion and I wouldn't say understanding, because everyone's experience is different and their feelings are different. But I genuinely just have so much more compassion for the idea. I think really this is what it boils down to. It always I always feel I struggle a little bit with words on how to categorize this, but it really is that every person, you just don't know what somebody's dealing with or going through.
What are you missing the most?
I I don't know, maybe like the spontaneity of like just going to a restaurant, you know, like with friends, like just like, oh, let's go get something to eat, you know, like you can't do that. I think I'm also missing the feeling of security. Like, I don't think there's ever been a time where like I literally don't know. I don't know what September is going to look like because I couldn't even predict it. You know, that weird I don't know if you've been having this, but like those weird interactions with people where you're like, do you want to hug? Do you hug? Are you not hugging right now? Like, it's like, I've never asked that question before.
Yes. Everybody's at different levels of social distancing. Yes.
Totally. And I just miss, I get it. This is not a knock on that at all. I just miss the, like, I don't want to keep that conversation to me. I like miss not having to have that. So like when I see you, I'm like, Leonard, you know, and then can like hug you.
Yeah, because you're very expressive.
Am I, Leonard? Am I?
Banana song. You guys ready?
Yes.
Yeah. Bananas unite. Peel, banana, peel, banana, peel, banana, peel, banana, slice, banana, slice, banana, slice, banana, slice, bananas, mash, bananas, mash, bananas, mash, bananas, mash, bananas, eat bananas, eat bananas, eat bananas, eat bananas, go, bananas, go, bananas, go, bananas, go, bananas, go. All right, guys, round two. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Bananas unite. Peel, banana, peel, banana, peel, banana, banana, slice, banana, slice, banana, slice, banana, slice, banana, mash, bananas, mash, bananas, mash, bananas, mash, bananas, eat bananas, eat bananas, eat bananas, eat bananas, go, bananas, go, bananas, go, bananas, go, bananas, go, bananas, go, bananas, go. All right, we're talking.
Faster, right? Faster, I mean. Here we go.
Bananas unite. Peel, banana, peel, banana, peel, banana, peel, banana, slice, banana, slice, banana, slice, banana, slice, banana, mash, banana, mash, banana, eat banana, eat banana, eat banana, eat banana, go, bananas, go, bananas, go. Oh, thanks for tuning into the banana song, you guys. Good job, guys.
The end.
Good job. Good job.
All right. Hey, I'm so excited to be here today with our Gaddis family that leads Young Life Military in Italy. We're going to spend some time getting to know them, getting to know the Young Life world in Italy today. And so with that, I'm going to introduce Joe here and allow him to introduce his family with us.
Hey, so I'm Joe. This is my wife, Sus, and Emily and Christian.
Hi.
How old are you guys, Emily?
14. I'm 12.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'm a little more.
Amazing. Okay, we would love for you guys to share a little bit about Italy with us.
Who wants to start?
Okay. Yeah, Italy has been pretty nice. The food is great. It has pizza and pasta, and it's just the people here are very nice, and also the ambience is really nice, and the nature, it's just very relaxing and calm.
About us here and about me, and so I have some really strong friendships with that, and so I enjoy that. It's a very family-oriented culture.
Yes.
So it revolves around the, like, you'll see families living with their grandparents side by side, and in fact, that's one of the reasons why the COVID virus was so particularly severe here, because everybody live right next to their grandmother, and they sell them, if not daily, then weekly.
You wrote that down. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's our goal, right? So teach us your ways, Italy. Share a little bit about the size of Italy.
So Italy is about the size. It's a little bit bigger than Arizona. It's about a 30th of the United States, if you want to look at it like that. But the people, they're about 60 million people, so it's about 1/6 of the amount of people.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so let's hop into Young Life Italy. We would love to know what Young Life is doing in Italy.
Yeah, so I'm part of Young Life Military. Young Life Military, they serve the families or the teens who are in the military families all over the globe. So here in Vicenza, there are about 16,000 Americans living in the military community, and so that translates to about 800 to 900 teens in the middle school and high school age, and that's particularly what we're focusing on here in Italy, in the Vicenza area. There's the Army post here, so the stressors on the teens in the military, you have your normal stressors like in the United States, but typically military installations are isolated, and so even in the United States they're isolated, and when we go overseas, it's a big cultural difference, as you can imagine, for teens to just kind of hop into another culture in Germany.
And a barrier language.
And
Yeah.
Language barrier.
I would say particularly here as opposed to Germany, where most people speak English. In Italy, they do not. Like, it's kind of the opposite. You ask a German if they speak English really well, and they'll say, no, I'm not any good, and then they are perfect. And then you ask an Italian, they're like, yeah, I speak English, and they do not at all. So it's quite interesting that way. Yeah. So that's difficult, especially for teens, I think, who don't get to go out and learn the language.
Right.
And
So it can be very isolating in that way, and also the teens. I mean, the military members, they move every 2 to 3 years. I know for us, I was in, well, Sis was in for 7 years, and I was in for 20. So through that, we moved 12 times.
Something like that.
How many kids?
I moved 5 times. Like 4 or 5, yeah.
So a lot of uprooting from friendships and from communities and from the norms, and so there's a lot of transition in the military community. So that's why Young Life is focusing on the military like that.
So I wanted to wrap us up here with your dreams, just what your dreams of Young Life Italy are, and ways that we ways that we could all come around and support you if God puts Italy in our hearts.
I would say that we Young Life Military needs people. I mean, needs people to be part of it, to sign up, and if you're interested in something like this, there's definitely a need, especially in the Pacific. Now, Young Life Military, it's a little bit easier because you're working with Americans, and so you don't have that culture barrier, and you get to go live in a new country. If you have military background, that's great, but you don't have to. It's been great, but as it says in Matthew 9, the harvest is plentiful. There's a lot of kids who really need help, and so that's our goal, in our vision, is to be able to see all kids hear about Christ.
Right, because right now you're just in high school, but the goal really is to be able to expand into the middle school too. But there's just not enough people right now to do that. So yeah.
So
you need leaders. You need people that want to be over in Italy or that are already there that can step up and be a part of your ministry.
Obviously, we can use prayers, and if people are interested in getting the specific prayer needs that we're praying for here in Vicenza, specific kids that we're praying over and that sort of issues, then you can sign up for our newsletter. I guess I can give the plug for that. Jay Gaddis, JGADDIS at clubbeyond.org, and we'll put you on our newsletter. There's also another thing a really cool thing that Young Life does is they have what's called the Hero Fund, and what that does is it's a matching fund for when an active duty military member donates to their local Club Beyond or their local Young Life back there in the States. They will match it dollar for dollar because the thought process behind that is they've already sacrificed. They're already sacrificing for our country, and so being willing to invest also in the kids there in the area, they would like to doubly reward that kind of sacrifice. And lastly, of course, if you want to support us personally here, that would be lovely. And you can find out more about us, through our newsletters and things like that. I'd be happy to tell you the specifics of what's going on here.
Yeah, I love that. I admire you guys. I think what you're doing is amazing. I think God has you there at such an incredible time, even through COVID and such a crisis just through our world, and that you're spreading the gospel is amazing. So I am just honored to meet you and to know you now.
What's up? My name is Lauren Scott. I'm so excited to be with you and share some music and some life, and it's going to be a really good few days. I'm stoked on it. I've never done a virtual family camp, so if you haven't either, we're on this together, and it's going to be a blast. So this is a song that I think most of you probably know already. It's probably familiar to you, and I would just invite you tonight to maybe hear it with fresh ears. I was driving in Kansas City when I was in college. I was a Young Life leader, and driving down the street one day, and honestly, I don't really remember what my day had been like or what had happened. I just remember feeling pretty low, and all of a sudden there was no music playing in my car. Radio was off, all that. And I just heard this song. It was like God sang it to me. And it's a song that I've also heard 1,000 times, but I'd never heard him sing it to me. I'd never heard it from his perspective as if it was his voice to me. And so I hope that you would hear it that way today. I hope that you would just feel in a real way God's tangible love for you and the lengths that he would go and has gone for us to show us how much he cares about us and loves us. So this is that song.
When the rain's blowing in your face and the whole world is on the case, I would offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love. When the evening shadows and the stars appear, there's no one to dry your tears. Oh, I would hold you for a million to make you feel my love. And I know you haven't made your mind up yet, but I would never do you wrong. And I know it from the moment that we met. No doubt in my mind where you belong. I go hungry, I go black and blue. I go crawling down the avenue. No, there is nothing that I wouldn't do to make you feel my love. And the storms are raging on the rolling sea and on the highway of regret. The winds of change are blowing wild and free. But you ain't seen nothing like me yet. 'Cause I went high up on that cross, that tree. Walked all the way to Calvary, hoping you would know, you would see, that you would feel my love. And I know you haven't made your mind up yet. Oh, but I'd never do you wrong. And I knew it from the moment I made you. This is right where you belong. 'Cause I went hungry, I went black. Yeah, I went crawling down the avenue. Don't you know there's nothing I wouldn't do to make you feel my love.
Thanks, you guys, for listening so much. Hey, I want you to give a big warm welcome to my dear friend here in the Mission of Young Life. We got to serve on an assignment a few years ago at Castaway in Minnesota, and it was a blast. And she absolutely loves you guys. She loves family, she loves kids, and she is so passionate about you knowing the person and love of Jesus Christ. So you guys give it up for our friend, Miss Jill Rainwater. Woohoo!
Welcome to Family Camp. Whether you're just joining us for the first time this evening, or if you and your family have been exploring the country of Italy with us all day, we are so glad that you're here. Italy is one of the only countries outside of the US that I have ever had the chance to visit. When I was 18, I was given a college scholarship that allowed me to study abroad for a summer semester. So 2 other students and I were sent over to the country of Spain, and it was such an adventure. One weekend, we were allowed to travel to Italy, which was great until we arrived in Venice in the middle of the night. Apparently travel was cheaper then, and we realized it didn't have any roads, but instead canals. Not kidding. Now, to our credit, we knew that there were canals in Venice. We weren't that naive. We just didn't know that there weren't roads that you couldn't also get everywhere. We thought there were both. But we learned when we stepped off the train that some places in Venice you could only get to by canal. So we know this name of a hostel that we're staying at, that the city has put us at, but we don't know how to speak the language. We can't see any signs because it's so dark. It's way before smartphones or GPSs or anything like that that can tell us where to go. And we can't really even just wander around on winding roads until we find it, because the winding roads in that section of town are actually water. We would drown. And so everyone's personalities start coming out. That tends to happen in a crisis, right? The best I can remember, there was the optimist. She starts saying, I'm sure we'll figure this out eventually. There's got to be someone nice somewhere that they can just point us in the right direction, that maybe speaks English, that can help us figure out what to do. Then there was the panicker, the pessimist, who is me. I kept saying, I'm freaking out here, you guys. Why did we let the school talk us into coming to Italy for the weekend in the middle of the night? And then there was the realist. Remember her saying, well, it looks like we're lost. We are definitely lost. I have never been this lost before in my whole life. That Italy felt scary to us that night, but it wasn't Italy's fault. It was our fault for not being prepared and for being such poor ambassadors of our own country by our lack of preparation. But when we think about some of the experiences Italy has walked through over the past few months, that's a whole different level of fear, a whole different level of scary. Remember those images of Italy that many of us saw in the news? The overcrowded hospitals, the makeshift care facilities, the weeping doctors, and the intense suffering. And then remember the contrast we saw? The video of Italians singing from their balconies during their lockdown. Our team can post that video clip later if you missed it in your packet. It's so beautiful and stunning. We don't want you to miss it. It's such a striking reminder to me that what we were made for is different from what we are experiencing. We were made for that singing from balconies, that coming together and never giving up hope. We were made for love, for creativity, for beautiful harmony. God tells us that we were made in his image and that all of those three things are fully him. He is loving, he creates, he lives in beautiful harmony, and he invites us into it. That's why it was so hard for those hospital employees in Italy, right? It felt unloving when they couldn't even try to create hope and healing for some of the patients there because there weren't enough beds or equipment available. To feel like they were leaving some people behind was deeply painful. Where did the phrase "no one left behind" come from anyway? We use it for kids in education a lot in the US, but it actually came from the US Army Rangers. Their creed says, "I will never leave a fallen comrade." I love that after learning today more about Young Life's military ministry. But even before it came from the Army Rangers, that quote came from God. Who is God? God knew we were wondering just that. So he sent a book or a letter. It's called the Bible. It's a really long letter. Some people think of it as a love letter because it's all about how much he loves us. And people tried to understand who he was. You might have some coloring pages tonight that have let you draw some of the possible images that people have of God. Or you could try to freehand draw them instead if you wanted. There's God as Santa Claus, who we get in touch with once a year and hope he gives us what we want. There's God as an emergency responder, the first one to show up when we get in a dicey situation. Or there's God as a grandparent, there when we were born, loves us like crazy, but maybe lives a long way away, or maybe is starting to have trouble with their memory and doesn't always remember who we are. But none of those seem like God and how he describes himself to be in the Bible. How can he really show us who he is if we still aren't getting it? God one-ups himself and he sends a person, himself, Jesus. Jesus was fully human and fully God, God in the flesh. We read that he was the visible image of the invisible God and that he moved into the neighborhood. He came to planet Earth. The crazy thing was that people didn't realize it at the time. It was him, God. He flew pretty under the radar. He was born as a baby to a teen mom, and it happened during really strange times. There was a census being taken in Bethlehem, and his very pregnant mom had to ride a donkey to that. I can't imagine riding a donkey at all at 9 months pregnant, not to mention for days and days and days. But sometimes in strange times, we have to do things that we never imagined doing. So who is this Jesus who showed up unexpectedly, in an unexpected way, and at an unexpected time? And what did he come to show us? We're fast forwarding now into his adult life, where Jesus takes 3 friends, Peter, James, and John, and he leads them up a high mountain. His appearance changes right before their eyes, from the inside out. It says sunlight poured from his face. His clothes were filled with light. These 3 friends start saying to him things like, wait a minute, Jesus, you're so fully God that we can't get you to stop glowing right now. Jesus, seriously, you are like radiating light right now. Let's pitch tents here. Let's start an energy plant. Maybe we can sell electricity. We could go get you a crown. We could make you king of everything, because no one else is doing this right now. No one else is glowing. Maybe we could sell Glow Like Jesus t-shirts. Or maybe could you just get the stick? Jesus, we'll hand you a stick. Could you get that to glow? And we could market those. We could market glow sticks. But Jesus is like, no. And it's about to get way more counterculture because Jesus shoots down their ideas instead of letting them elevate him to power or prosperity. Instead, he says, don't tell anyone what you've seen. What? I want to fly under the radar. If I'm the king, then this kingdom is going to be upside down, and we're going to care about the least of those, because that's how God has always been. No one left behind. He will stop everything to go help the one who is suffering. He goes on to say, If someone has 100 sheep and one of them wander off, doesn't he leave the 99 and go after one? And if he finds it, doesn't he make far more over it than over the 99 who stayed put? Your Father in heaven feels the same way. He doesn't want to lose even one. I've had a chance to ask some of you on this weekend who your 99 are and who your one is, the one you would drop everything to go help. Some of you here care deeply about domestic violence. You can't sleep at night if there's a family you know that needs help until you get that help for them. Others of you are actively fighting the racial disparities in our world, both the overt and the quiet ways it impacts friends of color every day. Others of you have spent your whole careers fighting ableism, the discrimination against people with disabilities, based on the false belief that people with more typical abilities are superior in some way. There are so many other causes too, that those of you here with us are helping and are looking out for the marginalized, the oppressed, and the suffering. And we stand with you as you do that. This summer especially, we stand with our Black brothers and sisters as they continue to try to give us a picture, a window into what they are experiencing and how what they are experiencing is not what we were made for or what we were meant for. We in Young Life, we stand with you because Jesus stands with you. But even as I say that, I realize that's really an outsider theology. So I want to rewind. Jesus was a minority and Jesus was poor. So it's not really accurate theology to think of Jesus as being an ally trying to help from the outside. When I notice my thoughts drift that way, I realize I'm trying too hard to see him through the lens of my life experience. Jesus himself actually experienced discrimination and marginalization. He wasn't just looking on as others did. We read accounts in the Bible of how he was treated that sound an awful lot like, there goes another Nazarene, lock your doors, watch out. What? People expected nothing good to come out of that area. They treated those citizens as other and as less than. But not only did Jesus experience being looked down on and mistreated, he cared deeply when others did. He would stop anything to speak out against it and to do something about it. He frequently did stop the things he was doing, even if those things were with people society regarded as very important. He stopped that to instead pursue the hurt, the broken, the marginalized, and the mistreated. That took extra priority, and that got attention, which was a little bit confusing to everyone else there who felt like, wait, what about us? Absolutely, he says. But we must first fix what's broken before any of us move forward and keep doing what we were doing. If we think back to the images of God that weren't true, they all have to do with how we relate to him. Our understanding of who he is impacts whether we would want him in our lives. We could basically rip those coloring pages or those pictures we drew up because they aren't accurate. It would be better to start with a blank canvas. And you can do that if it's okay with your parent. Maybe your parent will let you rip them up. A more accurate image of Jesus is the one who leaves the 99 to go find the one. He would do anything for just one of us. He would put all kinds of important people on hold. He does it all throughout the Bible, and it keeps getting referred to as the upside down kingdom. And he says it's all because he wants to be in a relationship or a friendship with us. One of love, one of harmony, one of creativity and adventure. Some of us might be thinking, I want all those things, but I'm not sure any of them are true of me right now this weekend. What do we do with that? I think it's because God's priorities seem upside down from the world's. What we were made for is different from what we are experiencing. We were made for more than what we are experiencing. What were we made for? Who were we made to be? God says we're amazing, important, and loved. We're amazing, we're wonderfully made. We're important, we're precious and honored in his sight. We are loved, Nothing can ever separate us from the love of God in Jesus. That's why he goes to get us. If he didn't love and value the lost sheep, it wouldn't be worth his time. We're going to take some time now to do what's many of our favorite part of camp, and that's called cabin time. The questions were emailed to you, and you are welcome to do any or all of them. Let me close this in prayer, and then I will see you at club tomorrow morning. Lord God, thank you for a chance for us to learn more about Jesus, and thank you that he is the visible image of the invisible you. He's the perfect litmus test of what is true about you and what isn't. We ask all this in his name, amen.
Hey, Jill, can you wait just 1 second? Jill, hold on 1 minute. Just yes, I understand. No, makes sense. No, my sentiments exactly. Roger that. Yep. I'll definitely pass it along. Okay. All right. Bye. I'm sorry. You probably don't even know why I'm excited. Listen, I just got off the phone with Boss Lady, and Boss Lady said that there is a gigantic fan of Young Life that wants as many people as possible to join us for our family camp weekend. So every person joining us today has an opportunity to invite another person or family to be a part of the weekend, and money will not be an issue because this gigantic fan of Young Life is covering the entire cost. What you say? You heard me right the first time. So think about who you would like to invite, what person or family to be a part of the family camp, because again, money is not an issue. Each family person can invite one other family person to be a part of all of what's going on. It's going to be amazing. So listen, you're going to get an email with the directions on how to make that happen. But for now, go to Cabin Time and add to your Cabin Time questions, who should be a part of this weekend? Who should join us and enjoy the amazing experience that you get to enjoy? So you do that, and I'm super excited.